Hello everyone, and thank you very much for joining. I'm Robert Stuber. I'm a PhD student at WZB in Berlin, and in this short video I will give a summary presentation of my job market paper titled Why High Incentives Cause Repugnance. And in this paper I analyze why for certain goods, very high monetary incentives can raise moral concerns. Starting point for my study is the observation that many countries ban monetary payments for certain goods like kidneys, blood, or stem cells. These bans are based on moral grounds, so people, for instance, object to paying someone for his or her kidney because they find this morally repugnant or reprehensible, but they have severe economic consequences. They lead to substantial shortages, for instance, in the supply of kidneys. Now, for certain goods, it is not the case that people object to monetary payments per se, but they only object to very high monetary payments. There are two prime examples. One are goods related to human reproduction, and the other prime example is the compensation of research subjects in research trials. So many ethical guidelines contain provisions in which they explicitly prohibit excessive incentivization, although they allow for some form of adequate compensation. Now, in principle, there are many paternalistic or non-paternalistic reasons why people might object to high monetary payments, for instance, because they find them inefficient. The prohibition of high incentives in the ethical guidelines, however, is usually based on the notion that high monetary payments cause the participation of individuals with high reservation prices. So, for instance, the Nuffield Council on Bioethics writes that high rewards can cause that participants' calculation of the costs and benefits results in their decision that the benefit outweighs all risks, however substantial. So they prohibit high monetary payments based on the notion that high monetary payments cause the participation of individuals with high expected cost, that is, with high reservation prices. In my paper, I take this literally and test whether there's a causal relationship between attracting individuals with high reservation prices and people's willingness to prevent transactions that involve high monetary incentives. To this end, I run a framed field experiment with a sample that is representative of the German general population. In the experiment, the participants decide whether I, as the experimenter, am allowed to offer a third person monetary compensation for registering as a stem cell donor. In the experiment, I consider different forms of experimental treatment variation. So, for instance, I vary the level of compensation potentially offered to this third person, and I also vary the information that the participants have about this third person. I make the following four contributions. First, I show that a share of individuals prevents a certain transaction when it involves high monetary payments, but not when it involves low monetary payments. I do so based on incentivized choices and in a representative sample, and thereby I expand on the literature. Second, I show that individuals that object to high monetary payments do so because they want to prevent the participation of individuals with high reservation prices. I propose a design that varies who, all individuals or only those with low reservation prices, might be able to register, but keeps the incentive for registering constant. And thereby I can identify the causal effect of attracting individuals with high reservation prices on people's willingness to prevent offers that concern high monetary payments. Third, I relate in part behavioral measures of preferences and beliefs to the paternalistic choices that I observe, and I can show that people that object to high monetary incentivization are also more likely to perceive high monetary payments as being coercive. Fourth, I compare attitudes towards high monetary incentivization between the general public and the members of ethics committees, and I'm able to show that in the general public, the support for monetary incentives is higher. In this talk, I focus on one of my research questions, namely the question why some individuals object to high monetary payments. I answer the question why certain individuals object to high monetary payments based on 3 experimental treatments. In all 3 treatments, I elicit participants' willingness to pay to prevent me from making a certain offer to a third person, or their willingness to pay to permit me to make a certain offer to a third person. In treatment high, participants decide whether they are willing to pay to permit me or willing to pay to prevent me from offering €500 to a third person for signing up as a stem cell donor. In treatment low reservation price, participants again decide whether they are willing to pay to prevent or permit me to make a €500 offer. But this time they know that even if they approve of the offer, the third person will only receive it if he or she is independently willing to register for €10. How do I implement this? The experiment of this third person consists of 2 parts that are payoff relevant with equal probability. In the first part, the third person decides whether to register for €10. In the second part, the third person decides whether to register for €500 if and only if, first, the selected participant in the main experiment approved of the offer, and second, the third person, him or herself, agreed to register for €10. So treatment low reservation price keeps the incentives for registering constant, but makes the €500 offer dependent on a revealed low reservation price. I also consider a control condition, low probability, in which participants again decide whether they pay to permit me or pay to prevent me from making a €500 offer. But this time they know that the offer will only be made with a probability of 30%. And these 30% are the empirically determined average belief about the share of individuals having a reservation price of €10 or lower. So the control treatment low probability reduces the probability of the €500 offer by the same amount as treatment low reservation price, but does not make the offer dependent on the revealed low reservation price. And here's what I find. In the analysis that I will now show to you, I focus on individuals that object to high monetary payments. These individuals are on average willing to give up €2.33 to prevent me from offering €500 to a third person for signing up as a stem cell donor. Now, if I ask these individuals again to state their willingness to pay to prevent me from making a €500 offer, or their willingness to pay to permit me to make this offer, but also tell them that this €500 offer will only be received by a third person who is already willing to register for €10, who has a revealed low reservation price and hence can't be drawn in by the high monetary incentives, they are on average willing to pay more than €1 such that the offer is made. Reducing the probability of the €500 offer in treatment low probability reduces participants' willingness to pay to prevent the offer. But importantly, there's a huge treatment difference between treatment low reservation price and treatment low probability, indicating that the effect of treatment low reservation price is indeed driven by making the €500 offer dependent on a revealed low reservation price. These results are perfectly mirrored with a second outcome in which participants make a simple discrete decision whether to permit the offer or not, without their own income being at stake. My findings yield 2 major policy implications. First, although I identify certain individuals that object to high monetary payments only, they clearly are only a minority. Therefore, the support for larger monetary payments for certain goods might be higher in the general public than previously thought. Secondly, however, individuals that object to high monetary payments do so because they want to protect individuals with high reservation prices. Therefore, it's unlikely that we are able to find morally acceptable ways to attract individuals with high reservation prices, because there's a causal relationship between attracting individuals with high reservation prices on the one hand, and people's willingness to prevent offers that involve high payments on the other. Efforts to increase the supply of important goods might therefore rather focus on increasing the supply for the incentives that are currently in place, for instance, by awareness campaigns. Thank you very much for your attention. For any feedback or critique, please feel free to contact me via my email address.